Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Today I'm running through some of the fantastic features in our new release, Liberty version 5, build 8.040. But before we launch into that, let's catch up on our last two releases. Our release for Liberty version 5, build 8.038, featured some fantastic improvements. I'll run through some of them now and then have a quick look at build 8.039. If you'd like more detailed information about any of our releases, they're found up in the Help menu. Let's get started. Build 8.038 featured some great accessibility improvements to the function buttons. We moved function buttons from the sidebar on the Search Details page to a horizontal function bar and made some accessibility improvements for colour inversion and navigation improvements for screen readers and keyboard navigation aids. We also added a Conditions of Use pop-up to management users. This pop-up is controlled by parameter 1230, Show Conditions of Use. It is defaulted to No in the system, and when enabled, you can customize the text of the pop-up and it will continue to display upon login until the conditions have been accepted by that user. It's also now possible to filter resources in the search interface by how recently they were added to the system. The Added in Last drop-down box lets you limit your search results to resources that were added in the last 1 or 2 weeks, or the last 1, 2, 3 or 6 months. For libraries not using single sign-on and using Liberty's built-in username and password authentication, staff user passwords now have a minimum length of 8 characters, regardless of the value set in parameter 3805. If parameter 3805 is set to less than 8, then it will apply to non-staff users only. Otherwise, it applies to all users. And lastly, account locking is now always enabled for staff users for too many failed login attempts in a short period. And of course, there were other assorted enhancements, fixes and improvements for performance and accessibility and the OPAC. Now for 8.039. Well, this was a short and sweet release. We had some minor bug fixes to indexing functions and enhancements to the RSS feed. That's it. Check out our release notes for a full breakdown in the Help interface. Okay, now on to our latest release, 8.040. These releases have something for everyone with changes to serials, security, checking URLs, reservations and searching. Our major focus for this release though is the launch of Smart Serials. Let's get started. First, we're going to start with the changes in our OPAC. We've launched a new security feature that prompts a password change when a new user logs in. Let's see how that would look. I've got the details of a new user here who's logging in for the first time, so we can see the process. So on this screen, we're being prompted for a password change. I'm going to enter in their existing password, and then I'm going to enter in their new one. So how could you use this? Well, you might give everyone a generic password as part of your setup, and on their first login, they'll be prompted to change it. Now, this feature can apply to new borrowers created via Manager Privileges or CSV import too. So let me just log out as our new user and log back in as myself, as an administrator, and I'll show you where this can be changed. It's under a new parameter that we've created, parameter 3810. Let's have a look. So this parameter here asks us whether we would like to change the password on first use. And of course, like all of our parameters, you're able to edit the field and decide whether you will or won't enable it. Next up, we have a new Add Interest button. It's been added to the Search Results button bar. This function will allow our OPAC users to create a private interest based on a search. Let me show you what I mean. From my search results here, this feature will allow me to save this search and create an interest linked to that search. Borrowers will then be automatically alerted whenever anything matching this new saved search is catalogued. This can be enabled as part of user privileges in Step 3 of the Search Interface Setup Wizard under the Search function bar. Let's go and have a look. Here I am back on the home screen. I'll skip through to Step 3. And you can see here the Search function bar option has an Add Interest. And this can be turned on or off for your user roles. And speaking of new features, we've added in dynamic language selection. In the latest Liberty release, when a logged in user changes their display language via My Portal, all the text will update immediately. Let's have a look. Now in my test system, we haven't mapped a full language change, but if you're using a system with multiple languages, it will change completely. Your users no longer need to log out and log back in again to see the change affected. We've also added the ability to display download links to files and content pages. This now appears in both the list and tile view of the results layout. These links are not displayed by default and can be enabled by turning on features through the System page settings and the OPAC list page layouts. This is a great feature for value adding to your resources. Get in touch with our help desk if you'd like a hand to set this up. Now over to Circulation Desk, where we've made some great changes. In our Circulation Desk, we've updated the Process Reservation screen. I'll show you what I mean. Let's process a return on this climate change book. If you want, you can now see who has put a reservation on this title, and you can also choose who to issue it to next. This alert will show the current amount owing and number of overdues for each reserving borrower when processing a return which has reservations. This process reservation screen can be enabled using parameter 3014. Some other changes we've made to Circulation Desk includes more detail about our overdue notices. Let's have a look at one of my overdue loans. If I click on the title, I'll be able to see the loan details. They'll come up here. We'll now be able to see the description of the overdue notice. We hope you find this a useful feature, but remember, it'll only apply to new events, as we can see here. It's handy when you're trying to see what types of system-generated emails or notices have been sent to our borrowers or users. And here's a comparison of the new versus the old messages. I think you'll agree, it's a great change. On the staff side of Liberty, we've made some feature enhancements to our URL checker. We've improved its speed, efficiency and reliability. This resolves an issue where the checker was reporting some web addresses as invalid incorrectly. Let's find our invalid URLs. We'll be able to do that through the Tag Manager. Under Management, choose Tag Manager. From here, we can choose which tags we'd like more information on. We'll choose Resource as our entity. Here, we have a query that we can run for invalid URLs. Let's run that query. We can now see all the resources tagged with an invalid URL, and I'll show you an example. The benefits of these changes mean that we can check more web addresses in your catalogued resources during housekeeping, and it's no longer such an intensive process. The process will now run every other night in addition to the configured night in a limited capacity. Two new parameters, 2037 and 2038, have been created to help manage this process. And if you're wondering what to do with any of these invalid URLs that have been found, you can contact our support team to find out more. We'd be happy to help. We've made some great additions and changes to our extensive reporting capabilities. I'm going to run through 3 of them today. First, we've created new email reports for the bulk extend and bulk renew operations in management. These are controlled by new parameters 3132 and 3133. These new email reports allow you to customize the message to borrowers when completing the function in the same way you'd customize other email templates. Next, a new report has been added to the circulation menu. It's called Charges by Charge Type. This report will group them by type and provide subtotals for each of the charge types and a grand total at the end of the report. Custom reporting has also been enabled. And thirdly, it's now possible to include the renewal count when sending borrowers their loan details via email. Let me show you how. It can be enabled under the System settings, so we visit Systems and then Reports. And we're looking for Email Reports. The report that we want to edit is this one here, Borrower Loans. Here we can see what display fields are currently set for the email report. If I edit it, this is an example of what the email looks like when it's sent to our borrowers. For this, I'd like to add the renewal count. And I can do that here using the display field. I can choose number of renewals and then add it in. And you can see here that it'll become part of the display fields on the report. Click Save and you're done. And now on to serials. For those of you who have this module enabled on Liberty, we've made some massive changes to serials and how they're created. Let me give you a sneak peek of Smart Serials. Today, I'm going to run through some of the biggest changes you'll notice after you've updated. First of all, let's look at the changes in the OPAC. These changes we've made will mean our users get a better view of their search results. I'll search for an example to show you. I'm searching for the British Medical Journal serial. From my results, I can choose the serial and I'm easily able to view the issues here. You can see that this easy navigation gives you details about the holdings for this particular serial. Let's also have a look at how an e-journal would look. These are becoming much more popular. Let me search for one of my serials which I know comes as an electronic journal. Here's my results here. Again, I'm easily able to view my received issues here. You can see here the easy access to the electronic issue. The other handy addition is an option to filter within those results using a keyword or phrase. I'm going to filter this serial for all issues held from the month of September, regardless of year. You can see here that across 2016, 18 and 19 we hold the following September issues of this serial. I can also filter by branch here. I've got a pick list of my branches here and I'm able to choose a specific location to narrow my search further. And I can see we have 2 issues of this serial held in this branch. Maybe the best way to see some of our new changes is to add in a new serial record and I can show you what's new. As an overview, before we get started, for a new serial record, we need to create a catalogue record, then a component. We then attach a subscription so we can receive issues via the check-in feature in Liberty. So let's have a look at our changes to serials for this release. Let's create a new catalogue record for a serial. So I'm going to go over into my management module and I'm going to go from cataloguing to resource. And here I can create a new serial record. I'll give it a title, a GMD and determine the format. That's enough to create a shell for my serial. I can always come back later and enhance the record. As soon as I save it, you can see one of our new updates to serials. It's a wizard, which will now help create the component and the subscription. The wizard at the top asks me about requiring a component before I can start receiving the issues, and I'm prompted to add one. So let's do that. Now you can see I'm at step 1 of 4 in a wizard to help me create my serial. Let's add my component. The description is being asked for here and it's just a magazine. I can choose the format of my issue template from a pre-populated list. I've got all of the choices in the list here, so I'm going to choose this one. I can also choose my group template. Now this can either be by year or volume, or year and volume. I'm going to group by year. Next, on to step 2. I can complete the following to help me with my volume and issue numbering. How many issues per volume? Well, my serial has 12. Are the issues continuous? You tick this box for issue descriptions that include the volume and issue information, where the volume number changes but the issue numbers continue. Mine doesn't. The next question asks me if it ever resets back to 1. Mine doesn't do that either. And the last piece of information to add, how many issues per year? I'll have 12. I click on the next button and this will take me to the publication frequency setup. Step 3 establishes the initial numbering and frequency of the serial issues and the prediction of future issues. We can use this feature at the top to help us set up our predictions. We're starting at volume 1 and issue number 12. That's the copy that I have on hand. We can also check the predictions here, and if we're happy with how this is going to look, we can move on to step 4. So you can see the first issue received will be volume 1, number 12 for December 2020, and the next issue received will be volume 2, number 1 for January 2021. This is exactly what I'm after. This last step lets us customize the serial with a contents page, URL or cover image for each issue that we receive. I don't have anything like that, so I'll just save it here. This now takes us to our new serials management area, and it's here, serials. Here we've got a great new overview feature where we're able to manage all of our serials in one place. You can see that the wizard is also still with us. The next step of our serial wizard is prompting us to add in a subscription before we can start receiving issues. So let's do that now. From this area, we can add in our subscription details. Now, if you're missing the detailed view, which is the version before this update, you can switch to it here, and this should look familiar to you. You've got all of the old features that you'd remember. I'm going to switch back to our new view. I'm checking the information here for my subscription, and it all looks good. I'm not going to send out any instant alerts. I'm going to let my regular notifications take care of that. The next area asks me to choose my arrival method and add in my copy assignment. I'm receiving a physical issue by post. I'm going to add my copy assignment in here, and this is where I receive one copy to my Lawson's branch. I click on Save, and you can see it appears here as part of my copy assignment summary. Once I save this, all that's left to do is check in my issues. But before I do that, let's have a look at the summary screen. So we can see here we've got a summary of the subscription that we just created, and we've also got a summary of the components that make up that subscription. Under the holdings area, I haven't got anything yet because I still need to check in some sick copies. So let's do that. We do that via the check-in button. This is something you'd be familiar with, and here you can receive the issues that we have on hand. So I've got my copy here of the December 2020 issue. You can save the changes as you go, and when you're ready, you can save and process. This will save the changes to the table, process the circulation list, run interest notifications and reports. You'll see a summary of the processes run, and then you're done. Your serial is complete and it looks beautiful. Wow, so as you can see, there's plenty in our new release. We've covered changes and enhancements to the OPAC, circulation desk, reporting, some email templates, major feature enhancements, and of course the changes to serials. As always, get in touch with our support team if we can help. That's all from me today. Thank you for watching our latest release video. I hope you found it useful.